idea of what millionaires cannot afford. Okay, so first of all, greetings from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, and about to board on this plane and get up out of here. Head back into the chilly Midwest from this beautiful 80-degree weather and these lovely palm trees and a beautiful wonderment of amazing paradise. Okay, so I want to talk to you for a few minutes about what millionaires cannot afford, and everything that poor
Due
people
to
do,
increased airport security,
everything that poor people
passengers
do,
are reminded that all carry-on
millionaires know
items
they
may be
can't afford
subject
to
to
do it.
search.
So the
Please
reason that
maintain
millionaires are
control of your
millionaires
personal
because
property,
millionaires
including
have a
carry-on and
threshold
checked
for what
baggage, to
they
avoid
know that they
transporting
can't
items
afford to do.
without your
And
knowledge.
it's always the opposite
Carrying
of what
firearms
poor
through
people
a
think.
TSA
For
screening
example,
checkpoint is
millionaires
prohibited by federal
realize that they
law
can't
and
afford to be
regulations.
late for anything.
Please check carry-on
Poor people,
baggage
on the
for
other hand,
firearms before
they show
entering
up
the
and they get
screening
ready.
checkpoint.
Millionaires know that. They know that they're like, what, a meet is about to take place. And I want to be there on time. In fact, I want to be there early. And the reason I want to be there early is because when I'm early, then I have an opportunity to be able to meet people who I wouldn't have had an opportunity to be able to meet if I got there late. If I get there early, then we're going to network. We're going to have conversations. When we have conversations, quite often we're going to close deals. We're going to get deals started and closed because we're having a casual conversation before the meeting starts. We're sharing our brain power and just talking about life. And that's how you meet people. That's how you get deals done because you're talking about life before you get to the formal meeting that you came for. So millionaires know, man, I can't afford to be late. Then millionaire knows I can't afford to be late. Why? Because once the meeting starts, the very first part of it may be something that I really, really, really need. And if I don't get this thing that I really, really, really need at the beginning, I might miss it. When you sit down, I'm talking about when you go to millionaire meetings, you are like a child. You're like, what? I can't afford to be late because I might miss it. Okay, he might have gave that. He or she may have given a nugget out right at the beginning of the meeting, and now here I am, 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late, half an hour late, and man, I could never get what they gave, meaning that could cost me $1 million. So millionaires are what very conscious of the fact that time is of the essence. Where poor people don't care. Poor people are like, what? I'm kind of reluctant to go to this meeting anyway because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be worth my time. Last time I came to one of these
Due to
meetings,
increased
it didn't really
security,
pay me any money.
all
Last time I
unattended
came here,
items and
I heard a bunch
baggage
of
will
stuff
be
that I already
confiscated
knew.
and
See, this is the
destroyed.
way that poor people think. Poor people are poor for a reason. Why? Because they do the opposite of what rich people do. Rich people are like, man, I'm not going to take nothing for granted. I don't want to miss anything. If I get one nugget, that's all I need. See, that's the way a millionaire knows I can't miss a nugget. Are you hearing me? Golden nuggets. I can't afford to miss one. Why? Because it could be the ship that just brought in some more of my new gold. Millionaires are very conscious of time, extremely conscious of time. We don't mess around with time. We like, what? I said I was going to be there. I'll be there. I'll be there on time. I'll be there early if it's any way possible because I don't want to miss nothing. You know what? And I don't want to miss a thing. Don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep because I'm a millionaire and I don't want to miss a
Agent Chang,
thing. Man,
please
millionaires don't
proceed
want to
to a
miss a thing.
security
Why? Because
checkpoint
millionaires
group.
know that
Shame on
that
you.
there's
Please proceed to a
gold at the end of that
security
rainbow,
checkpoint
and that
group.
rainbow is that meeting. And I don't can't afford to miss anything. And maybe we will hear something that's redundant. Maybe we'll hear something that somebody else already talked about. But so what? Because all that's going to do is just reinforce what you already know, and what you don't know, you can pick it up. Not a poor person. A poor person assumes a lot. And assumptions keep people poor and broke and behind the eight ball. Why? Because they think they already know stuff. And when you think you already know something, then you don't come with the attitude that it's possible that I can learn some more. So it's a very guarded position, and it does what? It blocks out the money. The money doesn't come in because you're guarding the poverty. All right. So that's one thing that a millionaire knows. I can't afford to be late. I don't play games when it comes down to being late. Time is of the essence. Another thing that millionaires know is that, man, I can't afford to be doing another person's work. So millionaires are always hiring people, always looking for somebody else to put in a position to do something that they do better than the millionaire does, or that the millionaire just doesn't want to do. All right, why? Because some people they play at what it's really hard for me and you to do. Some things you and I, we just hard for us to do it, but other people they do it for breakfast and they sleep subconscious, unconscious, and really good at it, and much better at it than the millionaire is. See, the difference between the millionaire and the person who's doing the job is that the millionaire got enough sense to know I'm gonna hire the person that's doing the job. The person that's doing the job, they don't want to be a millionaire; they just want to do the work. All right, so everybody doesn't want to be a millionaire. So that makes it easier for the millionaires. Why? Because they're like, man, most people just want a job. So what you do, give them the job that they want. I'm telling you the difference between, I'm telling you what a millionaire can afford. A millionaire cannot afford to be doing somebody else's work. Why? Because there's only 24 hours in a day. And a millionaire knows I need to get 24 hours worth of work done, but I can't get it done myself. So the only way I'm gonna get that done is I got to pay somebody. A poor person says I can't afford to pay people. A millionaire says I can't afford not to pay people. Why? Because that person can do a job better than me, and now I'm in more than one place at a time. It's a very thin line between being poor and being a millionaire. But the thin line is the way that people think. Millionaires know that they can't afford certain things. Some things are too expensive. Whereas a poor person, they think that the opposite of it is expensive. That's what I'm saying. Like a poor person say, I will not hire nobody to do something I can do. Why in the world would I spend that money when I can save that money doing that myself? That's the way poor people think. They think they're really saving money, but they're really losing a lot of money. Why? Because they're losing a lot of time. Because you can never get time back. You can get money back, but you can never get time back. So poor people, they think that's why poor people are poor. Why? Because they don't think the way a millionaire thinks. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? What's the difference between me and the average person? What? I come from the hood, been poor, been broke, homeless, destitute. You dig what I'm saying? I just had a different attitude than my same friends I grew up with. My same friends I grew up with, they still got jobs. They still got jobs. I'm 61 years old. I got friends who still have jobs. Talking about I'm getting close to retiring, Ricky. 30, 40 years of working, and I make more money than they make in a day. Than they make all year long. Why? Because of the difference in the temperament. The temperament is that I realize that it's only 24 hours in a day. It's only so much work you can do by yourself. So millionaires understand that. It's simple math, but most people don't understand simple math. Why? Because they don't have a millionaire's mindset. See, a millionaire's mindset says that, look, I can't afford to be working 8 hours for say $1,000 an hour. I can't afford that. You say, man, you can't afford to be working 8 hours a day for $1,000 an hour? No, because if I work 8 hours a day for $1,000 an hour, that means that at the end of the day I made $8,000. But if I hired 10 people to do the same thing, then I would make 10 people times $1,000 a day. Then I would make $10,000 per person. So I make $100,000 a day. If I did what? If I hired the people to do it, I'd rather make $100,000 a day than $8,000 a day, 8 days a week. That's the way millionaires think. People who don't have money, they don't think like that. Why? Because they're thinking, wow, I can't afford to pay the person. The millionaire knows I can't afford not to pay the person. Another thing that millionaires understand that poor people don't understand is that I can't afford to be listening to people who ain't talking about nothing. You know, and the Bible puts it this way. It says 6 things that the Lord hate, yea, 7 are abomination unto him. And the 7th thing is he that soweth discord among the brethren. So millionaires know I can't afford that. I can't afford to be listening to your gossip. So a millionaire, if you try to sell a millionaire some gossip, they tell you that's too expensive. I can't afford that. I can't write a check for that gossip because that gossip is going to cost me too much of my time and too much of my energy. Are you hearing me? So when a person starts sowing discord, a millionaire will cut them off and let them know that no, your conversation is not welcome here. Why? Because you're not talking about nothing. You're talking about people. This meeting is to be talking about money. This meeting is to be talking about ideas. This meeting is to be talking about creativity and ingenuity, not to be creating a whole bunch of malice and heartache and pain, and creating a whole bunch of turmoil and chaos. That's not what this meeting is about. So as soon as you start talking about another person, a millionaire cuts you off. He'd be like, do you have any ideas? Okay, because poor people talk about people. Rich people talk about ideas and possibilities. So, do you have any ideas? Okay, so you don't have no ideas. So I tell you what, when you get some ideas and when you change your attitude, then perhaps we can get back together. But until then, this meeting is over with. Why? Because I didn't come here to talk about Barbara. I didn't come here to talk about Sue. I didn't come here to talk about Ralph. I didn't come here for you to dumb me down like that. All right? Which leads me to the next thing that millionaires understand. Millionaires understand that we can't afford to be ignorant. Millionaires know that. Millionaires are like, look, I'm sitting here going live with you right now, and the reason that you can see me is because this phone is on top of my books that I'm about to read on the plane. I have 2 books right here on the plane. One is about online marketing, and the other one is the Diaries of Princess Lily, who I went to visit her palace while I was here while we were here in Hawaii. So we just went to visit a palace yesterday. It was an amazing thing.
We
We learned all of this history about Queen Leela and how the Queen Leela was locked up in her own room for 8 months because she refused to sign her kingdom over to the Europeans who came to Hawaii to gangster her kingdom. They came to gangster the kingdom of Hawaii and turned it into what? Into an independent state that they could run so they could get all this money and all these natural resources that's in Hawaii. So she said, so she wouldn't give in to them. So they took about 7 of her friends and they was going to execute her friends. So she said, what? She went ahead on and signed over the rights of Hawaii to the Europeans. And Americans was in on this, by the way. Okay, the Americans were in on the same thing. The president during the time was President McKinley, and they were supposed to. Prior to that, it was President Grover Cleveland, and he was sympathetic towards her situation. But when a new president, a new regime came in, they actually sent the soldiers over here. And I sat there in her room yesterday, Shantae and I did. So we went to her room yesterday, and we were sitting in there, and we were looking at. You could just feel the nostalgia because they had somebody on a phone dictating us what had happened in that room. And they talked about how she had been in that room for 8 months. Why? Because they was holding her hostage in her own palace. How you gonna come to somebody's palace and hold them hostage because you want to come in and gangster their land and come in and make all this money? So that's the way it is. That's the way the Europeans been since the beginning of the time. They just go around gangstering people's stuff, taking people's stuff, coming in, gangstering people's land, taking stuff that don't belong to them, and all that kind of stuff. That's the way. That stuff been going on since Johnny got home. All right. So I noticed all of that. So I want to learn more about this woman's life. So I got a book, and it's called her memoirs. The memoirs are the diaries of Queen Leela. So I'm gonna read it while I'm on a plane, take notes while I'm on a plane, learn about somebody else's culture while I'm on a plane. Why? Because millionaires understand what? We cannot be ignorant. We have to read. We have to know what's going on. We have to be conscious of other people's lives. We understand that life is all about relationships. And if we don't have relationships with people, if we don't read and understand a person and study them, then we can never have a relationship, a meaningful relationship with them because we don't understand anything about them. So millionaires understand that. Well, on the other hand, poor people, you go into a poor person's house and you got no books. You go into their house, they got 7, 8 TVs, and they sit around watching TV and inundating themselves with entertainment all the time. And even though I love entertainment, love basketball, love to have a little fun, a little, okay? But I like to spend most of my time learning, most of my time discovering things. That's why we travel around the world so that we can discover things and meet people and find out what life is really all about. Because life is very short. Every day it gets a little bit shorter. And every day we learn that we don't know much, okay? And that's why we're very inquisitive and all about discovery. And millionaires understand it. Millionaires understand it. Listen, I got to know something so I can be able to feed somebody. Because how in the world am I going to teach my family something if I don't know anything? Millionaires know that. Millionaires know I can't afford to be ignorant about what's going on, all right? Another thing that millionaires understand,
The TSA
millionaires
has limited the items that may be
behave,
carried
another
through the
behavior
screening
is that
check
millionaires
point.
know that it's too
Passengers
expensive
should contact
not to
their
be
air
trained.
carrier for
So
further
millionaires spend a
information.
lot of money on getting trained. Poor people don't spend money on getting trained. Why? Because poor people think they can't afford it. They say, man, I can't afford that. I can't afford to be writing checks to people to teach me nothing. I'll learn as much as I can for free, and then when I come up, I'll start paying people. But that's not how it goes. The way it goes is that you start paying people, and then you start coming up. And millionaires know that. Millionaires know when I get some money, I'm not going to go buy cars and luxury items and all that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to invest in my mind because what? Because there's a whole lot of things that a person knows that I don't know. And if I get their information inside of my brain, I'll be able to do what? I'll be able to make the money back that I paid them. And then I can go out and I can buy me some cars and I can do this and I can buy some houses and I can do some investments. But the first investment that millionaires always make is in their mind because they know they can't afford not to. They're like, man, I can't afford to have somebody walking around me who has multi-million-dollar information and they'll give it to me if I pay them. And then, but I'm just going to not pay them, so I'm just going to keep my hundreds and they keep the millions. See, that doesn't make sense. See, millionaires know that. We know that what? If you got millions in your mind, then give me those millions, all right? And then you say, so I'll give you some money for those millions because that's a fair exchange, okay? And people need to understand that. When I was, whenever, it's the beginning of the year, last year I spent $800,000 learning. And why? Because I got a millionaire's mind. Well, I'm from the hood, okay? From nothing, mayonnaise sandwiches and all that, but I have a millionaire's mind. I don't have a poor person's mind. And I want to encourage you to get a millionaire's mind, meaning that what? You can make as much money as God allow you to make. But there are some things that you got to understand that you can't afford, all right? Some things that are just too expensive. And one of them is for another millionaire to have some information and you don't get it. Man, that's too expensive. Why? So pay for that information so you can turn around and do what? And take the leftovers and be able to pay all your bills and take care of the kids and take care of the family and do whatever it is that you need to do. Now, a poor person is not going to do that. When I say poor, I mean a poor-minded person. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if they had the money, they still wouldn't spend it. They still wouldn't pay for something for their mind because they don't see they just can't see the exchange. They don't see the value in it. They're like, man, I just can't see myself giving nobody no $350,000 check to teach me nothing, Ricky. I can't see that. That looked like an incredible waste of money. Well, that's the way a poor person thinks. Why? Because a poor person would take that same money and they'll go out and they say, well, let me see. And I'll go buy a house with it and see if I can collect some rent off that house. That make a whole lot more sense, Ricky. And I'm saying, well, that's because you're poor-minded. See, if you was rich-minded, you realize that your mind is worth way more than a house. So you wouldn't dare put more money into a house than you would put into your brain. Are you hearing me? What? If you had a rich mindset. Why? Because you're a human being. A house can't think, a house can't walk, a house can't talk, a house can't create ideas, a house can't innovate. Are you listening to me? Your brain is way more important than a house. So rich people know this. Wealthy people know that. Millionaires know that. They like, look, the most important commodity I got is my brain. So the thing that I'm going to invest in more than anything else is my brain. Why? And I'm willing to write a check for it because I can't afford not to. I can't afford to be dumb. I can't afford to be slow. I can't afford to be behind the eight ball. I can't afford to not have the information that produces money. Why? Because it's knowledge that produces money. But I can't afford not to have the knowledge. Okay? So if I don't get it, then I can't produce. I got to be productive. Millionaires know that I have to be productive. And poor people don't care. Poor people don't care about how much money they make. Millionaires do. We care about how much money we make. Are you hear what I'm telling you? So another thing that millionaires know that they can't afford. A millionaire know that they can't afford to have more money going out every day than they got coming in. Millionaires know that. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So a millionaire is always focused on how much money are we making more than we focus on how much money is going out. Millionaires are always focused on that. Why? Because if there's more that's coming in that's going out, we always know we got more every day than we had the day before. Poor people don't pay attention to that. Poor people are concerned about what's going out more than they are about what's coming in. So a poor person, if I say, how much money did you make this week? They said, oh, I made, on my job, I made so much. I say, so how much did you make outside of that? They say, well, I didn't make anything outside of that. I say, well, why not? They say, well, I don't know why not. I say, because it's not important to you. Why? Because you live a very expensive life because you let time go by. You let a whole week, a whole day go by, and you made less money. You had less money coming to your house than you had that went out of your house. And that's just common sense. Millionaires got common sense. Poor people don't. Poor people don't practice common sense. You say, I got common sense, Ricky. Well, I'm asking you, are you practicing it? I'm not talking about do you know it theoretically. I'm talking about what are you practicing, okay? Because I challenge people's beliefs, and I challenge people's behaviors too. I'm like, this behavior that you exhibit is a poor person's behavior. It's not a rich person's behavior, all right? Because you should be concerned about how much money you made today. You should be concerned about how much money came into your household today. In other words, what was you doing yesterday to produce money today? And if you didn't have enough coming in today, that's because it's not your focus. Your focus is on how much is going out. So you're trying to budget. But I don't care how much you try to budget $100, it's still $100. Okay? I don't care how much you tithe $100, it's still $100. I don't care how much you budget $1,000, it's still $1,000. I don't care how much you tithe on $1,000, it still ain't nothing but $100 when you tithe on it. So you can be a broke tither and a broke budgeter. Why? Because you don't have enough money coming in. Why? Because that's not your focus. Millionaires understand that the focus got to be on what? Producing. Productivity. Millionaires understand that. So we know we can't afford to what? Not have money coming in. So we don't live a life like that. We live a life like, okay, how much money did we make today? All right, how much money did we make this week? How much did we make this month? What are we projected to make this year? And then that way, we start making moves on a regular basis that says, okay, so this is the cash flow today, and this is what I'm going to do. All ready, babe? Go on. You ready now? Okay. All right. So those are just a few things. When I get back home, we'll talk about this some more. Maybe when we get our next break in between. So thank you so much for your prayers, and we're doing well. All is well. Pray for the plane that it do well in the air and stay in the air until it's supposed to hit the ground. All right. God bless you. Love you. I'll talk to you soon.